And in the studio with me, I have my co-presenter this morning.
Good morning, dear Nambra. I am Imogen James.
Quickly, let us introduce our guest this morning for the press review. Where we have Arinze Anyebuna, who is a public affairs analyst, and also we have Comrade Emani Ezenagu, who also is a public affairs analyst. Glad to have you both this morning.
You're welcome, sir.
Press review. Let's get the ball rolling on this first, this Friday that we have here before we. And the first paper we have for review this morning is the Vanguard. And the banner headline is still talking about what transpired. The mistake of the bombing in Kaduna. We will be 100% sure before bombing targets. That's coming from the DHQ. And then the writer there is saying, says 81 killed, 70 injured in mishap. It's unpatriotic to ethnicize disaster. Equip military with more accurate surveillance technology. CAN urges federal government. Ohaneze condemns act, seeks thorough investigation. U.S. urges use of AI to reduce accidental bombings. Culprits must be punished. That's coming from the president. ACF calls for redeployment of GOC First Division and others. Sanction culprits, compensates victims. That's coming from CSO and some Islamic Forum tells federal government CDS and COAS. Army solicits more funding. That's it there. We have federal government votes 548.56 billion for federal roads nationwide. On Easy Calm in police new postings that you can find on daily, in the Vanguard. You also have PDP distance self from major talks, and LCCI NECA lament exit of P&G and others. And we have 2023 CAF Award, Osimhen battles Salah Hakimi for Player of the Year. That's in sports. And then we have Kokori pro-democracy icon dies at 80. Failed abduction. Sue EFCC DSS reps. Committee tells Emefiele's lawyers. And then we have Benwe's shortest route to hell. Makurdi Naikba Otukpo Road. Federal government increases import duty rate by 22.24%. Third time in 1 year. Quickly, let's begin with you, Arinze. We've seen this issue of mistake bombing, and this is not the first time this is happening in this country. And you've heard from the riders there, the United States urging for the federal government to use AI, you understand, technology and the rest of it all. And then some people are saying that the culprit should be punished and then the victims compensated. Please, how do you compensate for the loss of lives? You understand? You're talking about innocent Nigerians here. Please, quickly, let's run on this.
A very quick one. First of all, when you talk about compensation and culprits, how do you determine the culprit in this regard? Because as a matter of fact, there is some kind of aerial surveillance. So, supposedly, I would want to believe that that launch was based on the fact of the result they got from the surveillance. So you may not outrightly say the culprits are actually
one person
responsible.
Yes.
Because whatever happened was as a result of their surveillance. So first, like the US has said, the use of AI, and apart from AI, every other machinery that can actually be precise, that can give accurate results, that can, to a very appreciable minimal rate, reduce the risk of wrong search results from whatever surveillance that has actually carried out. And when we say compensation, there is nothing you can actually do to sufficiently compensate for loss of life. We're talking about it with one person that is recorded.
Yeah,
You know,
recorded.
when
Exactly, you definitely won't get the accurate figure. And then they're talking about the unpatriotic ethnicity, will I say, connotation in this disaster. This happened in Kaduna. Now, some people are beginning to fuel this with some level of ethnicity. And where do you think this is emanating from? Emmanuel?
You know, after this, when this occurred, we can't say where it emanated from or where the cause or the reasons. Just as my brother said, you know, I believe that the incident happened based on the information they have concerning that particular area.
Yeah.
And should we say along the line, it happened. Although some part are saying that it was a mistake, and some other people are saying that it's not a mistake. So as it is now, we don't know. Just as the number was 81, I think there is a part of information that said that it is up to 120 persons.
Yes.
And some say it is about 85 persons. We don't know the count. So for now, we don't know if it is by ethnic, or if it is political, or if it is fighting corruption, or fighting, should I say, insecurity in that particular area. And from the information, the military has been in that particular area for some time. Their equipment has been in that particular community for some time. So as it has happened, what we need them to do now is to make the proper investigation and then come out and tell us the truth. You know, most times when something like this happens, by the time as at 1 week, 2 weeks, the whole thing has been swept under the carpet, and we won't hear anything about it taken.
We won't hear about the federal government even talking about the punishment for the culprit. And quickly, Geraldine, what do we have for the next paper for you?
Okay, the next paper is the Punch newspaper, and before I even read the banner headlines, today happens to be their 50th anniversary. Okay, so over to the headlines. Still on Kaduna bombing, it says here, federal government vows to punish culprits. SCF demands GOG's removal. The reader there says, federal government promises to unravel causes of bombing, rebuild affected communities, DHQ pleads. Curb accidental bombings with AI, US armed centers tell military, SCF demands probe. Tinubu, Nupec, others mourn as Kokori dies at 80. I won't surrender my mandate to intimidation. Fubara, you can see that on page 8. Gunmen adopt 10 Nasarawa Varsity students. Page 4 has a story. NJC sacks Oshun judge, dismisses Adeleke's petition against CJ. And also we have Sanusi Carpets, NNPCL, doubts dollar remittance after subsidy removal. And lastly, we have some foreign airlines may quit Nigeria. ITAC warns the federal government. That's what we have in the Punch newspaper. So I think we've been talking about this bombing for a while. But then let's go over to Kokori. Kokori's death at 80.
First is that this morning, while I was listening to a preview on the radio, some persons actually of the opinion that he should be immortalized. And you know the truth, it's not just about the immortalization. There should be a way to sufficiently, emphasis on the adjective sufficiently, appreciate men who have actually given their life, who have committed a major part of their life to ensuring that Nigeria advances for the better. Okay, so when I heard that, I was like, wow. But interestingly for me, I would say he died at a ripe age. 80 years is not quite here. We lost a great one, but then there's another that the Igbos have, and it's a journey everyone will actually make. So we pray that he so actually finds rest.
Okay, quickly, there's another headline there that really caught my fancy. The NPA, Nigerian Port Authority, blames concession for $853 million, 1.1 billion naira revenue shortfall. You know, sometimes I don't know if the economy of this country is like a colanda, whereby it doesn't hold or sustain anything. We're talking about managing economy, and you begin to see revenue generating areas losing the main focus on what they are meant to do to generate revenue. And we're talking about $853 million. Do you know what that means for us to lose out in an economy like this, when we are still struggling with so many things? Is it a case of bad leadership, or is it a case of not having, in fact, not even punishing people for not even delivering on their goods?
Actually, you know, the truth is, permit me to actually say this is one of the reasons why a number of times sincerely I feel like it's necessary to retrieve from journalism and media appearance, because it seems as young as we are, with the tiny voice that we have, we are at a very low cadre when it comes to the ladder. You get, but then Nigeria becoming better. Yes, we may be hopeful, but it's going to take a while, and anchored on God helping us. Who will punish who? I keep saying this. The governmental administration of Nigeria, across all levels of governance, is seen as a business. It's transactional. Who will? I was telling somebody something yesterday when he said was going to punish some persons, would punish some persons for some crime, and I'll be like, who will you punish? Are you going to punish a person that's going to exhume issues, factors that concerns you, and you get implicated? So that's the problem. It's business.
It's more like the system needs to be overhauled.
It revolves around a certain class and persons.
Wow.
So whatever happens, they want to cover it.
So let's see how we go about that. Quickly, let's go to the next paper we have for review this morning, which is the Daily Independent. And the banner headline there is still talking about, this time around we're talking about customers groan as banks ration cash ahead of Christmas. The banner headline there says, Naira scarcity bites harder. ATM machine, cash runs dry. Anyone guilty of Kaduna village bombing will be punished. We've seen that in the previous paper that we read this morning. And then we have other stories here. With 250 naira per meal, dogs feed better than prisoners. Wow. That's Senate talking there. You find that on page 29 of the Daily Independent. NAS bemoans incessant near crash incidents, flight delays, and diversion. 3 officers injured as NDLEA repels gunfire attack in Edo Forest. And then we say alleged attack on Kogi Tribunal Secretary. SDP's utterances betray suspicious knowledge of incidents. And then Tinubu, Omoagege, Miti, Gani Adams, mourn Frank Kokori. And then we have 2024 budget, FG to spend 6 billion on aerospace, varsity, other disputed projects. And then we have failed abduction, file contempt proceedings against EFCC, DSS reps tells Emefiele's lawyer. And then we have SPDC spend $559.04 million to end this NDDC in 2022. Federal government received 1.36 billion. That's the report there. Quickly, let's with 250 naira per meal, dogs feed better than prisoners. I wonder why the story like this even made the headline. But then quickly, let's look into this. I don't really understand what's happening in Nigerian prisons.
Coming to that particular headline, with 250 naira dogs, I believe that no matter how you put it, there is no dog that can feed at that particular amount. And coming to that, what they give to those prisoners is very, very poor. Very, very poor. to the extent that you keep wondering that they bring proposal, they bring their budget every year, and at the end of the day, you find out that they use the budget or the items meant for the prisoners to enrich themselves. And now, coming to that, even the Comptroller General is asking for an increment.
Yeah. Now, if
in the Senate,
if those get to be fed with 250 naira per meal, and they say that's higher than what the humans, the inmates, they take, then how much per meal are the humans in prison now being fed?
They are not telling us.
From our police service. How do I call it, inmates or whatever is actually being treated unjustly, and it's still a worse outcome. There are persons that should actually keep an eye on this thing. I keep saying it. For every agency, for every parastatal, for every unit, every department of the government, there should be committees, councils that oversees what happens there. There must be a way of checkmating these things. There should be a way.
Even if there should be a way, and listen, corruption has eaten deep in this country. It has eaten deep in the individuals. If a committee should be set up and they come for, let's say, supervision and all that, definitely that committee will not be left to go home empty-handed. And a fat envelope will be given to them to appreciate their coming. And once the envelope is given, you find out that their lips will be sealed off, and they will have to like say something else that will favor the people that has giving them one or two things.
Okay, let's touch on the banner headline. The customer has grown as banks ration cash ahead of Christmas. Why do we always have this issue of shortage of cash every Christmas and festive periods?
Every Christmas. This very issue of scarcity of cash has lingered over a period of time, and
but the government has already lifted ban on this issue of a deadline for old and new currency.
Actually, sorry to say, maybe I'm going to merge these headlines. It's not about the lift of the ban.
Yeah.
Have you taken time to consider the fact that what the immediate past, if I'm still correct, MFLA, CBN governor, did during his time, as much as I think I know, was in synergy with the authority and endorsement of the president as it were then. How come he's made to pay for? And when I say pay, I mean in a very messy way. You get it? Yeah. These things, Nigeria has come to a point where somebody like me, I'm no longer scared. I'm no longer surprised at anything. The only thing that happens, it comes and I retrieve. Okay. How best do I navigate my living so I'm able to actually profit from what is happening at the moment? Our system is everybody's not doing thick skin. It hits you, you get back into your share, you observe how things are actually happening, you restructure and then relaunch yourself to adjust. And see, Nigeria is a matter of adjusting and readjusting to see what happens in the system per time. So that's it.
Quickly, next paper for review.
Okay, our next paper is the Nation newspaper. It starts, the banner headline says, still the same thing, Tinubu vows punishments for error bumping culprits. We have here exodus of skilled youth abroad worries the federal government. We also have here tribute gallery for Frank Kokori, all theft. Tantita security forces arrest another suspicious vessel. Now, we also have a reader here that says, NHSC rejects petition against Osun CJ Adepele Oju, and also Wike defends 15 billion naira votes for VP's residence. And lastly, 2 kidnapped prospective youth corps members freed. So, for me, I'd like us to start with Wike defending the 15 billion naira votes for new residents for vice president.
You know, if they can spend 15 billion naira for VP's residents, that is showing the height of wickedness they have in this country. And they propose 5 billion naira for student loan, which is education, that means they don't have care about the educational system in this country. Neither do they have care about the youths, just a resident. Are they building heaven or what? And from the information, it's not even a new one, it's just to renovate it and then make it better. 15 billion naira. Are you kidding me? The type of money that we see on dailies every day, you keep wondering, where has the government made any good investment with the at least 10% of this money that they keep mentioning? At the end of the day now, they will tell us that we will still borrow. Or at the end of the day, they will tell us that there's another loot that they've recovered. When borrowing is the order of the day, it is a natural phenomenon that comes up every year or every three months. So 15 billion naira for a resident, that's a huge sum. And for Wike to defend it, I believe that he's a party to that, because there is no resident that you can tell me now that we can, even if it's a castle. But there are some certain things that we have to consider. Looking at the current economic situation of the country, there are some certain things that the government have to cut down. But no, that means they are deceiving us, telling us that the economy is failing. The economy is not failing. They are the ones failing us or feeding us with such information. Because you can't tell me that in a failed economy or in a country that has a failed economy, you spend that amount, not even in agricultural sector, not in the health sector, not even in the educational sector, but just a house
for one person.
for one person.
This is residence, the vice residence, no problem. His house, his residential house built by himself, how much is it worth? The truth is, people take advantage of public funds, and one of the days, I'm not a prophet, but one of the days, I pray God will just rain fire. I'm telling you, it's uncalled for. We just read in one of the headlines about 6 billion naira for some projects of the federal government and all of that. 6 billion for some projects of emphasis on some, and the plurality of the projects, and one residence is costing 15 billion.
Quickly,
And that's why we keep going on strike.
let's go to the next paper we have here, which is The Guardian. And then the banner headline, government details as painful initiation to womanhood flourishes. That's talking about the female genital mutilation. And then we have some demographics here telling us about 19.9 million Nigerians survivors account for the third highest number of women and girls who have been mutilated. And they have 3 million girls, women who would have undergone FGM in Ebonyi, Ekiti, Imo, Osun, and Oyo states in the last 5 years. And then we have the graph there telling us the percentage of such mutilation going on in Nigeria. A one-way flight ticket hits 200,000 naira ahead of festive travels. 10 Lafayette University students kidnapped by gunmen. And then we have Afrexim Bank's President Orama emerges Forbes Africa's Person of the Year. And then we have our president as petroleum minister stalled 11 trillion subsidy probe. We're still talking about cookery, and then encomiums, tributes pouring in for the young man there. Again, queues resurface as customers battle cash scarcity. More pressure on industries, businesses over 952 naira per dollar exchange rates for imports. And then I think that's the much that we have there. Quickly, let's talk on this one-way local flights before we come to the banner headline of the genital mutilation. A one-way local flight hit 200,000 ahead of Christmas. You understand? So
the roads are not too fantastic.
Because in one of the headlines we saw 560 billion marked for road, some federal roads. And then you're not telling us that 200,000 naira, one way, local flight.
It's coming to a point where let me not outrightly say God, but as a Christian, I want to actually link it to God, where the poor and the rich will meet at a junction. Maybe in your house you can be whoever, whatever you are, but we are coming to a point where we meet at a junction. There must be a meeting point. Somebody, a big artist, an A-list artist, music artist in Nigeria, made a post one of these, or was it even a video? He wasn't on board traveling, and it has not gotten to this point, but things were already skyrocketing in respect to flight cost and all of that. And when he was a business class or economic class, if you see rows, vacant, and they've bought it and they are living. It's coming to where people are beginning to. One of my guys posted something one day and said, we'll go back to using our vehicles. I know a guy who drove from Anambra with his Mercedes ML400 or something, from Anambra to Abuja. He may be a big boy, but instead of spending that money on flight, he fueled his car and drove. But before you see them, everybody's flying up and down. It's getting that bad. It's getting really that bad.
Now let's talk about this story that touches on womanhood, gender, female genital mutilation. I don't know why things like this are still being practiced in this present day. And then if you see the diagram there, you could see that this still flourishes in the southern part of Nigeria. What's your take on this, Eman?
This is a very situation that concerns the womanhood. This is where the wife of the president have to involve herself, align together with the Minister for Women Affairs, in conjunction with commissioners for women affairs in different states. Then move down to the grassroots. All these people need is just orientation. And the disadvantages in this female genital mutilation. You know, they see
the risk involved,
diseases and all that. And you know, these are local people. They do it in a local way. And they see it as their culture to welcome young girls into the womanhood. Or should I say, to prepare them to go into the womanhood.
You said local way. I've been trying to battle this thing. So is that a foreign way of female mutilation, genital mutilation?
No, I say it is their own local, their own culture. Okay. It is their own culture. Because not everybody practices this. Not all tribes, not all regions practice this female mutilation. So these are the orientation that they need. And when they are this risk, because most people die in the process. Some girls die in the process because some bleed to death, and you know that most of them, they don't know how to control the high rate of the bleeding and all that. This is the orientation that these people need. And who are those that will give them this orientation? These are the government, the women in the government. They are seeking for power. This is also an avenue where they can channel their energy to see that this that the percentage is reduced to the barest minimum.
Thank you for your submission.
See, sorry. This thing, I think it's important we actually harp on it. President as petroleum minister. Do you know that's why nothing in that sector can actually be established? And it's a major anchor. It's a domain.
Yeah,
we are in respect to our region.
Generation.
Why will a president, you started from the previous
It happened, yes.
become the petroleum minister? It's intentional. And it beats my imagination, it beats my heart. An expectation that those who are supposed to sit the president on gear, keep him on his toes and not doing that. And we talk about the legislators.
Both green and red chambers.
Why not keep the president on his toes?
Well, probably the orientation about their job is not being told to them on
Induction. Let's go to the next paper, please.
Okay, the next paper is the Daily Trust, and I think I'll start with an exciting news this time. Excitement as $20 billion Dangote refinery receives crude oil. Gunmen kidnaps Nasarawa varsity student. Civil Defense yet to produce Media Trust Radio Tower. Shields indicted operative. And then the banner headline still remains, Kaduna killings, not a mistake, says Gumi. The reader there says, Army attacks against Air Force advice. Officers grumble over lack of synergy between services. We've learned our lesson. Our operation remains joint. DHQ. And Tinubu vows to punish anyone found culpable. More than 80% of Gaza's population displaced. ASU kicks against inclusion of tech fund in annual budget. We have PDP backtracks from coalition with NNPP, SDP, and others. So now I'm wondering why Daily Trust has a different story. So Daily Trust says, Army killings, not a mistake. And then if you look at the reader day, it says that it's because they were not together. That means they had lacked synergy. I'm just wondering, how possible is that?
First off, not Daily Trust.
That's Gumi.
Daily Trust reporting what somebody said. That's Gumi speaking there.
So coming to that, Gumi, he's an Islamic scholar.
Yeah.
So I believe according to him, he's saying that's not a mistake. But coming to think of that, if the army can have such weapon that can kill over 100 persons and about 70 or 80 persons injured, why didn't they use it at Sambisa? That's the thing. And now they used it on innocent Nigerian citizens. And according to Gumi, he said that if actually it was a mistake, that it happened twice. According to the report from the villagers, after the first one, about 30 to 40 minutes, there was a second bombing. That it is not a mistake. Now, the army that are trying to defend themselves, saying that they were not even the ones that did that. So, coming to ask, if actually the military have such weapon that can kill more than 100 persons at a go, why didn't they use it at Sambisa? Why didn't they use it to fight insecurity all these years?
Well, actually, this thing was, they were got by the last administration before they left, in order to, let's say, fight insurgency and the rest of it all. But still, what the Daily Trust is still talking about here, if you read one of the writers, they're saying, Army's attack against Air Force advice. So that means there were no synergy. Like you rightly said, there should be a synergy because we believe that our airspace is in the hands of the Air Force. But the Army were the one that owned up that this was a mistake, you understand? So probably there is no synergy, you understand? Based on the information that was gotten and then the actual bombing itself. You understand?
Can you remember that Air Force some time ago actually launched a bomb on foot soldiers' army?
Yeah, so that is what we keep. There is a whole lot that is going on. Because, sincerely speaking, for this headline to have been on virtually every paper makes us understand that we are not safe in this country.
Definitely.
We are not safe in this country. Insurgents could pick hold of this drone and attack wherever they want to attack. And attack wherever they want to attack. Now the army is saying they are responsible for it. The Air Force is saying there's no synergy, and then the rest of it all. Every thinking rational Nigerian, sincerely speaking, should be worried. Because this thing can hit anywhere in Nigeria. This thing is being piloted in a spot, and it can travel the length and breadth of Nigeria, killing people in their hundreds. You understand? And probably maybe that village is based on the population they had there. If it was a densely populated place, probably we would have been talking about 1,000 or thereabouts. You understand? So it's enough for us to worry. And I think, and it's not just a case of the president saying that culprits should be punished. There should be a total overhaul, as in inquest. This issue of no synergy between the army and the Air Force, let us look into it. You understand? The heads should start rolling now. Nigeria should be abreast with the details of what actually transpired, not just capturing it on the pages of.
Sorry, please. I want to lend voice to the kidnap of National University students.
Yeah.
If Nigerian students actually gets, which I know that too many of us, even in Anambra, is following us now, it will be a dent on my reputation as a Nancy executive in Anambra State not to actually lend voice on this. Government should actually start sitting up and preserving our students. Government should sit up. People we read a headline where government is frowning at skilled youths living
in drones, you understand, in drones rather.
Yeah, so this is part of it. Our students even here are not safe. There was a newspaper that said about 10 of them or so. So what's the fate of the students? More like everybody is now left to their feet. I want to actually sympathize with the families of the students and the National University management, and we pray that these students actually regain freedom as soon as possible.
Quickly, and then let's touch on Nigerian Tribune, which happens to be the last paper for review this morning. Still on the drone issue, Kaduna drone strike, the guilty will be punished. That's coming from the president. NJC recommends retirement of Osun High Court judge, declines Adeleke's request on CJ, sets up panel to probe judicial officers. Alleged failed abduction, filed contempt proceedings against EFCC DSS if refs committee tells Emefiele's lawyers. Adelabu to rejoin APC next week. Edo Forest gunfire attack, 3 NDLEA operatives injured, 1 undergoes brain surgery. And then we have unending controversy over Kwara underpass. And then Sanusi, president should not be petroleum minister. And Kokori still gets tributes pouring out for him. Prisons spend 750 naira to feed inmates and 800 to feed dogs daily, Senate told. And Controller General proposes 3,000 naira daily for inmates. Well, Dangote Refinery receives first crude oil shipment from Agbami, set to commence production. Quickly, let's look at Sanusi. Just like we rightly said, this is coming from the former CBN governor, you understand, telling us that the president shouldn't actually be petroleum minister. The oversight of that responsibility should be for somebody that has the technicality of what's ongoing there. Still talking about this, will I say, Adelabu to rejoin APC. Sometimes there was this case I saw where a political party, a candidate contested, lost, joined this person, a political party won, and then is coming back. Is there no way the Nigerian electoral system can checkmate all this Chris carpeting? Because you don't go win an election and then you decamp and then you join another party. There are insane clients, you understand? They expect that a duration of your political appointment is 4 years. If you fail on this, you have to sit back and wait till that expiration. You understand? Because you contested under a platform, not an individual, even though you're being voted for as a person, but you went there on the platform of a party.
According to the new electoral law, if you contest in a particular political party and you win, and then you leave that party to another party, definitely you are leaving that position. But you know now, as once you leave that party to APC, your sins will be forgiven. And at the end of the day, they will target that the individual tried to reconcile party issues, but he was unable to reconcile the party issues. That the party, they are the ruling party.
People cross to various parties.
People cross to various parties, but they come against them if you do not cross into the ruling party. Because I could remember in the previous administration, someone from PDP left PDP to APC. And then the motion was raised at the Senate. The Senate president then defended the senator for cross-carpeting to APC. That is the thing. But if you leave APC to another party, that is when they bring the electoral law to your table.
Quickly, before we round up, just a minute or thereabout to go. Should we be rejoicing the fact that Dangote Refinery has received its first batch of crude oil shipments? Is it something to be happy about? Probably maybe the price of petrol will definitely, come down.
I don't want to jump on it. It's a two-way thing. It's more than like, wow, we have a refinery with us here. But the truth is, still linking it to this corruption thing. The only reason, maybe at the moment we'll celebrate it, but the only reason that celebration would be sustained is if monopoly of interest does not prevail. Because when monopoly of interest prevails, it will still be as it is. People will now start making reference. Let's say, for instance, we are buying, say, for instance, I'm not in the oil sector. We are buying, say, a liter from outside, 900. And we think we go selling 800 or 850. It's still on the high side. Then the logic will not be, we had so percent discount. It was 900, now it's 850 because some persons still have interest. And truth is, you see the elites, the rich, the successful, in quotes. Why the system is not being cleaned and flushed is because the benefit revolves around them. It's cyclical. It still remains with that. Yes.
Well, on that note, we've come to today's the end of today's press review, and we want to thank our our analysts for putting their voice to the papers that we've dealt with, and thanking Arinze Anyebuna, who is a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
And then Comrade Emandi Izenagu, who is also a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And for me, Ajulu Chukwuka, we're saying thank you, and then Geraldine.
Thank you for being a part of today's press review.
See you at the other side.